Today we're talking about something most men experience but few know how to handle the right way. Disrespect from a woman. It could be your girlfriend, your wife, or even a woman you're dating. Maybe she talks down to you in public. Maybe she mocks your ambitions. Maybe she ignores your boundaries. Whatever the case, the way you respond will define how she sees you and how you see yourself. Now, here's the controversial part. Osman handled disrespect in one of ways. They either explode in anger and lose control, or they stay silent hand. Hope the problem, magical sappers. Both approaches destroy your respect in her eyes. A man who can't control himself looks weak, and a man with disrespect sends the message that he's okay with being treated like that. The truth is, disrespect is not just about the moment it happens, it's about what it represents. A test, whether intentional or not, when a woman disrespects you, she's seeing how far she can push before you push back. Undeaf, you don't address it with confidence and composure. You're telling her shakan push forever. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what a woo do when a woman disrespects you, not just to protect your self-respect, but to strengthen it. This isn't a butte-ravine yelling or teaching her Alison about showing through your actions, and you're energized that you're a man who sets standards and lives by them. By the end of this, you'll know how to handle disrespect in a way that earns respect back, not just from her, but from everyone watching. If you're tired of feeling powerless in these situations, statement, this might just change the way you carry yourself for the rest of your life. Stop explaining yourself to her. 1. Stop explaining yourself to her. Here's the problem most men don't realize. The second you start explaining yourself to a woman who's disrespecting you, you've already lost the frame. You've put yourself in the position of a defendant, and she's the judge. That's not how a man with self-respects. Confident man doesn't beg Simeone to understand his point of view, especially someone who's already decided cross the line. Think about it. Why don't you explain yourself in these moments? What are you really doing? You're trying to convince her that your feelings, your boundaries, and your perspective are valid. But here's the hard truth. If she's disrespecting you, she already knows she's crossing a line. She's testing to see if you'll hold it by explaining, showing hesitation. And hesitation is weakness in her eyes. When you carry yourself like a man who doesn't need to justify every move, just send a different message. You're telling her, I know my value. I know what is stand for. I don't need to talk you in tartarating me, right? You either do it or you don't. Get me? That's power. That's self-respect. Now, this doesn't mean you respond with anger or try to dominate the conversation. In fact, the strongest response is often the simplest. If she says something out of line, you look her in the eye, pause for a moment, and let silence speak. You can follow up with a calm but firm statement like, I'm not here for that, or were. Not doing this short, direct, and confident. What you absolutely do not do is start giving a long speech about why you're upset, how she should see it from her side, or why you think it's unfair. That turns into a debate, and in debates, with disrespect, the man always loses. Women respect men who act, not men who varane. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop playing on her terms. You keep the frame, show her that you operate on a different level where respect is a given, not a request. And the moment she sees that, the tone changes because deep down, every woman wants a man whose respect can't be talked out of him. When you master this, why? You won't just handle disrespect better, you'll prevent it from happening in the first place. Because once she knows you didn't explain yourself, she knows she can't play those games with you too. Cut contact when she crosses the cut contact when she crosses the line. When a woman crosses the line with you, whether it's disrespecting you in public, mocking your values, or talking to you in a way no one should, the most powerful move you can make is to cut contact. And I don't mean sending a dramatic, I'm done text. I mean you quietly disappear from her world without warning, without begging, without trying to make her see your side. Here's with us works. Disrespect thrives when it's rewarded with your time, attention, and emotional energy. If she can treat you poorly and still have you showing up, calling, texting or making plans, you've just told her that your standards are flexible. She'll might not say it out loud, but she'll know she can get away with more. That's show you lose power in the relationship. Cutting contact isn't about being petty or playing games. It's about setting a clear boundary through your actions, not your words. You don't need to announce, "I'm cutting you off." The absence of pure presence is the announcement, and it speaks louder than anything you could ever say. So, how do you do it properly? First, you make the decision in your own mind that you will not tolerate the behavior. Second, you step back completely. No calls, no texts, no likes in social media, no subtle check-ins. You don't try to make her wonder where you are. You simply focus on living your life without her in it. The key here is mindset. If you cut contact but secretly, Hesh notices right away and comes running back, you've already lost. She can feel that neediness. The real power is when you genuinely move on with your time, energy and focus directed toward yourself, your goals, and the people woke respect you. When a man cuts contact without emotion or drama, it forces the other person to reflect. Maybe she'll realize she went too far, maybe she won't, but that's not your concern. Your concern is protecting yourself. Respect. And here's the unexpected twist. When you walk away like this, you'll flip the dynamic instantly. You'll show her thought. You're not afraid to lose her, which is the one quality every high-value man has. Women respect that. Some will even test you just to see if you have it. If she wants to come back, she'll have to approach you differently, Baze. Now, she knows your respect is non-negotiable, and if she doesn't come back, you've still won because you refused to stay. In a place where you weren't valued. Nacho, real men operate. Never argue to prove your worth. 3. Never argue to prove your worth. There's a reason you never see someone like Denzel Washington or Keanu Reeves getting into public screaming matches. Toper of a point. It's not because they didn't face disrespect. Trust me, they don't. It's because they understand something most men don't. The moment you are to prove your worth, you've already given that worth away. Think about it. Man who knows who he is. Need to convince anyone? If Simone doubts him, insults him, or tries to undermine him, he doesn't jump into a verbal wrestling match. Why? Because his value isn't up for a negotiation. He doesn't see himself on trail. Now, apply that to your relationships. When a woman disrespects you and you immediately start arguing, explaining why she's wrong, listing your good qualities, reminding her of all you've done, you've stepped into a wet position. You're trying to sell yourself to someone who should already see your value, and the more you try to win the argument, the more she sees you as a man desperate for her validation. Look at someone like Jay-Z. He's being criticized, attacked, and mocked publicly, yet he never gets on social media firing back at every insult. Why? Because he knows his success and presence speak louder than any words. That's the mindset you need when you're dealing with disrespect. From a woman, the right move isn't to argue, to disengage, not in a passive-aggressive way, but in a way that says, "I don't compete." For respect, I expect it. That's the attitude of a man who values his demand, his peace, more than winning at a bait. If she tries to bait you into an argument, keep your response short and calm. You can say something like, "I'm not here to argue," or simply change these objects and remove yourself from this situation. She might get frustrated at first, but deep down she'll notice that you don't operate on emotional impulse. Here's the irony. When you refuse to, you often win more respect than if you won the argument. Because what remembers isn't your perfect comic. It's the fact that you didn't let her drag you into a place where she controls your emotions. Men with self-respect know that their actions sober times speak louder than any words they could throw out in the heat of the worth. Stop telling her about it and start living it. And if she can't see it, that's her. Loss, not your problem. Next time disrespect shows up, think like a Denzel or a Jay-Z. Stay calm, stay composed, and let your life be the proof of who you are. Show strength through your silence, for show strength through your silence. Silence is the most underestimate a man can have in his arsenal. In a world where everyone is trying to clap back and have the last word, being Zelen is almost seen as strange, and that's exactly why it's so powerful. Most men think they have to talk their way into respect, but the truth is, you learn to stay quiet. You instantly become more unpredictable and more respected. Here's where it gets controversial. Women will sometimes provoke. You won't propose just to see how you react. They'll throw a sarcastic comment, test your patience, or try to get under your skin. If you take the bait of your spend emotionally, you've given her exactly what she wanted, proof that Shah Kong control you. But when you meet that disrespect with calm focusance, it flips the script. She's wondering what's going on in your head. She can't read you. She can't predict you. That mystery makes her feel your presence even more. Silence puts you in control without saying a word. Think about boxing for a second. Great fighter doesn't throw wild punches just because the crowd is yelling. Waits for the perfect opening, then strikes with precision. At your silence is at waiting period. You're not ignorant disrespect. You're letting them hang in the air long enough. Fourth weight of it to sink in. That's when your eventual response, if you choose to one, hits harder. But here's the catch. Silence isn't about sulking or shutting down like a child. It's about choosing not to react. It's a conscious decision to let your calmness speak for you. This is why silence, when paired with strong body language, becomes almost intimidating. Steady gaze, relaxed posture, and quiet confidence can deliver louder message than any comeback ever could. Of course, some people will tell you that staying silent makes you weak or passive. They're wrong. Weakness is when you can't speak up. Power is when you don't need to. A man who can control his words can control himself, and a man who can control himself can control almost any situation. When a woman disrespects you, your silence should never come from fear, should come from certainty, certainty in your standards, certainty in your value, certainty that you don't need to fight for what should already be given. And here's the real beauty. Silence often makes people reveal more than they intended. Give someone enough quiet space and they'll start talking, just to it. That's when you see their true intentions. So the next time some treats to pull you into a storm, don't ap in your mouth. Stand tall, stay calm, and let the silence do the talking. It's not just strength, it's dominance without effort. Walk away without warning. 5. Walk away without warning. One of the most powerful things a man can do when a woman disrespects him is walk away without warning, without announcement, and without asking for permission. This is not about being cold or heartless. It's about reclaiming your position as a man who values himself to remain in a space where he is not respected. Most men make the mistake of telling a woman they're about to walk away. They'll say, "If you keep doing this, I'm leaving. I'm not going to stay if you treat me like that." The problem with this is simple. The moment you warn her, you give her the control. She knows exactly what's coming, and she can either manipulate you into staying or call your bluff. An alpha male doesn't give warnings. Yaks. Walking away without warning sends a message far louder than speech could. It tells her, "My presence is a privilege, and the moment you fail to appreciate it, I remove it." This is how you build unshakable spec, by showing not telling that two won't compromise your standards. Now, walking away doesn't mean you storm out angrily or slam the door to make a scene. That's emotional, and emotional reactions weaken your position. You do calmly, with composure, and without a trace of desperation. Whether you're on a date, in the middle of a conversation, or even at home, you simply stand up, collect yourself, and leave. No explanations, no parting shots, just action. This move works because it's rooted in abundance mindset, the belief that you are not afraid to lose her. An alpha male knows that his value isn't tied to his single woman. If she can't meet his standards, someone else will, and if no one does, he's still a complete man without her. Here's the other benefit. Walking away forces her to confront the consequences of her actions without you having to say a single word. When she realizes you're capable of leaving without hesitation, it triggers a deep respect, and for some women a deep fear, because most men simply don't have the strength to do it. But you can't fake this. You walk away hoping she'll chase you immediately. Your energy will betray you. The true alpha male walks away because he refuses to stay, not because he's fishing for attention. And if she doesn't chase, you'll keep moving forward. That's the mindset that separates men who command respect from those who beg for it. When you master the ability to act away without warning, you send an unshakable signal. You're a man who chooses where he stands, and no one, not in the woman you love, can push you out of your frame. That is real masculine power. 6. Make her earn back your respect. If make her earn back your respect, or woman has disrespected you and you decide to give her another chance, you can't just slide back into the relationship like nothing happened. That's where most men go wrong. They forgive instantly, hoping things will go back to normal. But all that does is show her that your respect is cheap, and cheap respect is never respected in reader. Let's paint a realistic scenario. Imagine you're dating a woman, and during an argument she publicly makes you in front of friends, maybe shekels you weak, makes a joke about your career, or reveals something personal. You told her in confidence in that moment she crossed a serious line. You walk away, cut contact, and take time for yourself. A week later, she calls apologizing and saying she wants to make things right. Now, harass mistake most men make. They hear the apology, feel relieved, and rush back. If the disrespect never happened, that prom there was no consequence, shouldn't have to do anything to prove. She stood your value. She just said sorry, and you rewarded her with instant access again. That's not how a man with self-respect operates. When you make a woman earn back your respect, you set a higher bar for re-entry into your life. This means you don't instantly restore things to the way they were. Instead, you slow everything down. If she wants to see you, it's on your terms. To talk, she has to deal. Owe it respectfully and consistently. You don't jump back into intimacy, commitment, or trust. Those things are rebuilt over time, and only if her actions match her words. In our scenario, maybe that means you'll meet her for coffee instead of going straight back to weekend dates. You watch her behavior closely, and you make sure she understands that the bond you had before is not automatically restored. You're raising her through your actions. That access to you is earned, not owed. This approach does two things. First, it forces her to reflect on what she didn't put in the effort to show she respects you. Second, it reinforces your position as a man who values himself to match, to hand over trust without proof. You're not holding a grudge, you're resetting a standard. And here's the real benefit. She truly respects you. She'll accept this process and rise. Tommy did it. If she gets impatient, complains, or tries to pressure you into moving faster, that's a clear sign she hasn't changed, and you can walk away knowing you made the right call. Making her earn back your respect isn't about punishment. It's about protecting your value. A high-value man knows his respect is the most expensive thing heck can give, and once lost, it's never handed back freely. Replace her before she replaces you. 7. Replace her before she replique. One of the hardest truths men have to accept is that relationships are not immune to change. The moment a woman stops respecting you, she's already halfway out the door. And if you stick around trying to win her back, you're really giving her more time to find your replacement. That's why the mindset of alpha male is simple. She's no tatting value, she's replaceable. Now, this isn't about being cold or treating women like they're disposable. It's about living in a way where you're never so emotionally dependent on one person that you tolerate being treated poorly just to keep them around. When you hold that mindset, you become a man who can walk away from anyone, no matter how much a story you share. Here's the interesting part. Whoa. Men can sense when Ian has options. They can also sense when he doesn't. The man who clings to her despite a constant disrespect is telling her without saying a word, "You're my only shot." That kills attraction instantly. On the other hand, the man who knows his worth and is willing to walk away gives us off a completely different energy, one that demands respect. Picture this. You're in a relationship and she starts pulling away. She's less affectionate, more critical, and clearly testing boundaries. Most men would panic, chase harder, and try to fix things. But the high-value man, he notices the shift, pulls back his energy, starts investing that time into himself and into other people who appreciate him, friends, business contacts, maybe eventual romantic prospects. By the time she realizes he's slipping away, she's no longer dealing with the same man she thought she had on a leash. Replacing her doesn't always mean jumping into a new relationship right away. It means replacing the role she plays in your life. She's no longer supportive. You'll find support elsewhere. If she's not bringing peace, you create peace with her. She's not contributing to your growth. You surround yourself with people who do. And yes, if she's removing the role of your partner in every way except name, you find Sumals who actually wants that role. Their all-power of this mindset is that it forces you to keep your value high at all times. You never let yourself go mentally, physically, or emotionally. You stay sharp, attractive, and indulgent. So if one person steps out offline, you don't fall apart. You move forward. Women deeply respect men who aren't afraid to replace them when they stop showing up, not because they fear being gripless, but because it proves your aim, who refuses to settle for less than you deserve. And when a woman knows she could lose you to someone better, she'll either is to meet your standards or she'll move aside for someone who will disrespect, is never something a man's hold overlook. Because the moment you conclusion act it, you teach people how to trade you. Steps we've covered from refusing to explain yourself to walking away without warning to replacing hair and necessary are not about ego. They're about standards. A man with self-respect doesn't need to shout for respect. Helves in a way that commands it. Every move you make should communicate one thing. You know your value. Protect it. Guard it. Never bargain with it. When you live like that, respect stops. Buying something you chase, it becomes who you